Now, one of my favorite jokes from you is a very, very simple joke. This joke is, I'm looking at it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words. When you say, I don't like racism. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's almost like a perfectly written joke.
Yeah.
And it speaks to people like me, who's like, I'm famous for always like calling out racist systems and structures and stuff. So that joke speaks to that in a very efficient way. But you also, and I don't know how much, and I want you to break it down. I don't know how much of the stuff that you say up in your life is true or not, because I've heard you also in your routine say, look, a lot of this stuff is not true. But you make jokes about your mother being a Holocaust denier. Mm-hmm. You make jokes about your grandmother, her racism. This joke you had about being adopted, and you being adopted because you were a white baby. That's an amazing joke.
Thank you.
But then you got fan mail from white supremacists because of this joke. But I wanted you to talk to us about your experience of what you went through in your head when you're doing jokes, which, in my opinion, are smart jokes on race, but they're taken the wrong way by some aspects of society.
Yeah, I mean, I get it a lot where people, racist people will use a joke that's criticizing racism, mm-hmm. but they'll say, well, that's, like, I think the second part of that joke you just brought up was, I don't understand racism. Why would you hate an entire group of people just because of the way they all behave?
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people get that joke and like, oh, you're making fun of racism. Some people say that's how it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is, like, you're right about that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how to be blunt and tell people, like, I think it's boring to be on stage and be talking about how morally correct you are. Mm-hmm. People call it clapter. You want the audience to be like, yes, you're not racist. And like, I don't need to do that during my hour.
There's endorphins that come with that too.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Yeah. And there's nothing funny about it. Mm-hmm. So I like to be a little challenging, leave a gray area. And I'm happy in interviews to give my true intentions, but you can't really change the way people are going to take a joke. You just hope that, you're staying true to yourself and not pandering to either group.
Now you speak out against cancel culture and even question its existence, and you are very, very, more than most, unapologetic about your performance. But you also, in a very mature way, have made decisions to stop doing certain jokes. And I feel like maybe it's not so much a maturity, but like, well, I did that already. Where else can I take that? And I find that very interesting, that you sort of self-edit and self-police before cancel culture does it for you. Like, am I correct to say that it's not so much a maturity thing, but more of an artistic thing?
Yeah, I'd say that's true. Mm-hmm. And part of it's the way that Dave walked away from Chappelle's show, because the way someone laughed. Mm-hmm. It was a specific laugh. If I feel the audience is laughing for the wrong reasons, that will make me sour on a joke. And again, some of the jokes that I've dropped, they're also very short jokes. I'm like, what am I actually losing if I get rid of this? It's not I'm not capitulating to anyone by dropping these jokes. It truly is a personal decision for me. But yeah, there's some laughs I get where I'm like, oh, that's wrong. They're laughing at the wrong part of that. Let me see how I can adjust this.
That process of seeing a comedian work up to their hour, or work up to their special, or just work to make sure that they have the good 5 minutes or good 10 minutes. That's my favorite part of comedy. Seeing the mistakes, seeing the process.
Yeah, I mean, I remember once I was in New York and I was writing on Jimmy Fallon, and I wasn't writing stuff for myself. Anything I wrote for myself just wasn't working. So I thought, let's just go up and just start talking to the audience and see how it goes. And it was right after the Chris Brown Rihanna incident.
Mm-hmm. Oh no.
And maybe like a week afterwards. And I go up and I'm in this show in Brooklyn and I just start talking about it. And the crowd is so uncomfortable. They're hating it. They're hating me. And I'm sweating. I'm just covered in sweat trying to get through this. And I'm like, I've got to get out of this. And I just came up with the punchline right there. And the joke killed. One of the biggest laughs I've ever gotten. And I was bummed about it because a month later, I've got to stop doing it because the joke is now old.
Right.
But I was like, that's how I came up with a great joke in the moment, by putting myself through hell on stage live. But it was so painful that I've never tried to do it again.
What we done started. Look at what we done started. This the people party. When opportunity knocking, then young nigga move that door. Whoa, get your foot stuck, get it, call me young, go get it. They can't fuck with it, might as well roll with it.